We would now like to start Power and Energy Business presentation. The presenter, let me introduce Vice President and Executive Officer, CEO of Power Business Unit, Mr. Atsushi Oda. Vice President and Executive Officer, CEO of Nuclear Energy Business Unit, Mr. Hidetoshi Takehara. So first, Mr. Oda will explain the power business. Mr. Oda, please. So I, Oda, would like to explain our power business strategy. Today, I will explain the overall power business in the first half, our strategy. And in the second half, CEO Takehara will talk about the nuclear energy business. So first, there are 5 points I would like to communicate to you today. First is the earning power of the power and energy business. Until now, we have experienced difficulties, but now we have solid earning power. So I would like to explain that. Second, changing markets and business opportunities in them. We have many new business opportunities, so let me touch on that. Third, 3 competitive businesses on which to focus management resources. So I will talk about these businesses. 4, high value added service business that can be a revenue base. And 5, nuclear energy business. So first, this is the business overview. Provide solutions based on collaborative creation to all customers in the energy value chain. This is our vision. So this is the social and environmental value at the bottom of the page. We contribute to industrial development and the realization of a sustainable society by providing energy systems that do not produce CO2 emissions during power generation. This leads to SDGs. In the center, you can see pie chart. This shows the breakdown. Fiscal year 2017 revenues was 450.9 billion yen, of which 58% was my power business unit, and 42% is nuclear energy business unit. Now this is the review of fiscal year 2017. Profitability of power and energy business is improving steadily. Fiscal year 2015 and 2016, these 2 years, we had low profit business, so we were barely in the black. However, in fiscal year 2017, we achieved 450.9 billion yen and margin of 5.7%. Fiscal year 2018 forecast is 456 billion yen, 6.3%. So we revised slightly downward from the initial forecast because of 2 reasons on the right. First, our business structure reform is progressing and reorganization is underway. And as I will touch on later, the expansion of the offshore wind power market in Japan is rather slow. And therefore, the revenue will be lower, and that is why we have revised downward. But even then, our forecast exceeds 6%. Next is the progress and the result of fiscal year 2017. Structure reform for revitalization were completed, putting business on growth track. Going forward, we will turn on to the growth track. First, the overall power and energy business. We implemented business structure reforms. In Power Business Unit, we have 3 businesses. First is the Renewable Energy Solutions business. We maintained the largest share of wind power market in Japan. and we entered offshore wind power market in Taiwan. And in the grid solutions business, we completed the reconstruction of transmission and distribution systems business and moved into profitability and expanded our services business. And profitability is improving. In services business, we expanded high added value services. On the other hand, our nuclear energy business, we completed the GDA as planned in the UK and implemented initiatives for the resumption of operations of BWRs in Japan. Now, these are the major achievements in fiscal year 2017, the progress of projects. Major projects progressed steadily, and orders for large projects were received. Let me explain in these photos. Mega solar and the onshore wind farms. These projects are progressing steadily, and for nuclear energy, ABWR GDA is completed. Now, in terms of the orders received for large projects, the Taiwan offshore wind farm project was a big one. And second from the right, in Southeast Asia, we are getting the projects for the transformers. Next is the outlook for fiscal year 2018. Both revenues and adjusted operating income are expected to exceed year-ago level. At the bottom of the page, you can see revenue. Nuclear energy business revenue will decline slightly, but power business revenue will remain firm. And so overall, we will increase. Adjusted operating income. Various structural reforms, cost-cutting activities, and other initiatives will boost the income. And orders received. Orders will be affected by compliance with new nuclear regulatory requirements and decrease in orders related to services and thermal power business. So it will be a slight decline, but we are working hard and plowing the seed to get orders going forward. Now, next is the market environment. So this is the transformation of the power and energy market by the 3 Ds. 3 Ds are decarbonization, decentralization, and digitalization. These 3 Ds. Market is seeing a game change with the 3 Ds. In the middle, you can see interesting diagram. First, decarbonization. This is the global power generation capacity. The global trend. Low carbon, recycling, and harmony with nature are essential for the realization of the sustainable society. Renewables will become leading energy sources. Next is decentralization. North American distributed energy generation market size is shown in this diagram. Increase introduction of wind turbine and photovoltaic. And with the decentralization of energy sources, investment to increase the resilience and stability of transmission and distribution system will expand. And in digitalization, the center bottom, you can see the market for digitalization in energy sector. Smart meter, HEMS, and distribution automation. These new areas and investment for the profitability improvement are underway. And players from other sectors will enter the energy sector in earnest, and power companies will develop a range of services. Now, in this game change, we are witnessing new business opportunities. Now, this diagram shows the power and energy value chain. Renewable energy is becoming the leading energy source, and baseload electricity sources is there, and digitalization of energy sector is underway, and microgrid and decentralized power sources. These regional solutions are new opportunities. Through our collaborative creation with customers, we will offer solutions and services. IoT, AI, Lumada, these digital platform will be utilized, and through collaborative creation, we will offer high value-added solutions. This is how we plan to capture the new business opportunities. Now, next is growth strategy. On the upper half, you can see the vision. Aim to become a global major player in terms of revenue and profits by actively investing in sectors where Hitachi has an advantage. Our business strategies are twofold. First, we provide world-leading products, services, and solutions. We will provide sophisticated solutions through the utilization of digital technologies and collaborative creation with customers, and achieve further growth through M&A and develop new markets. Second, we will establish a position as a high-profit business entity which leads global market. We focus management resource on non-carbon energy solution business where high returns can be expected. Fiscal year 2021, which we call 2021 Midterm Management Plan, this is the aspiration and our target towards fiscal 2021. Fiscal year 2018 will be 456 billion, 6.3%. In addition to organic growth, we will have additional investments and M&As for further growth to achieve over 800 billion yen and over 10% profit margin. Through our past efforts, we are now more confident about our profitability, profit-generating capability. So we would, by all means, want to achieve this 10%. Now, that was the overall explanation. Next, let me talk more about the strategy of Power Business Unit. First, priority areas for achievement of targets. Focus management resources on 3 businesses where high returns can be expected. The 3 businesses are Renewable Energy Solutions Business, Grid Solutions Business, and High Value-Added Service Business. You can see the numbers. From 2018 to fiscal 2021, we plan to increase the number. And the key points on our activities are on the right half. This will be elaborated in the following slides, so I will skip for now. Next, steps to becoming a high-profit business. We will implement structural reforms to focus on businesses where Hitachi has an advantage. In the center, you can see fiscal year 2016 and 17, we had business selection and concentration. For revenue and profit, we sold steel roll business and downsizing of business of selling electricity. And in the adjusted operating income, we had structural reform of grid businesses and strengthening of services business. And this is how we tried to improve our adjusted operating income ratio. And after fiscal year 2018, we are making new investments as part of our global evolution. So for revenue, we are investing to increase scale, including M&A related to wind power business and solution business expansion. And in adjusted operating income, we are making intensive investment in high-profit products and solutions and partnering and utilization of digital technologies. Next, let me talk about the three key businesses. First is the renewable energy solutions business. To become one of the top renewable energy companies in the world, both in terms of revenue and profitability. This is our goal. In the bottom half, you can see time on the horizontal axis and the income ratio on the vertical axis. Fiscal year 2018 is around 80 billion yen. Now, with the disruptive technology, we want to become one of the top companies in the world, achieving 400 billion yen in fiscal 2021. Now, actual measures will be explained in the two following slides. We will make use of downwind wind turbines to expand businesses and improve profitability. There are two key points. One is enter overseas markets, strengthen market activities to get orders. And the other is maintain largest share of the market in Japan and generate higher profits. In entering overseas markets, we will leverage capability to withstand typhoons to gain entry to overseas markets. And we will steadily promote projects through utilization of partnering. For the risky offshore construction, we will join hands with the contractors who have track record. And utilizing the alliances and M&A, we will compete with major global companies. Now, in order to maintain largest share of the market in Japan and generating higher profits, we will use wind turbine lineup and features in activities to win orders and promote utilization of digital technologies and VEC and reduce LCOE through partnering. So we plan to increase 250 billion yen in revenue. Next measure is improving profitability through expansion of solutions business. There are two key points. One is expanding solutions and service businesses, and the other is promote decentralized power sources solutions business. For solutions and services business, we will expand solution business with wind turbines at core and improve customer satisfaction by strengthening LTSA business and enter market for services for other companies' products through third-party maintenance capability. In the decentralized power sources solutions, we will expand business to a wide range of customers, including new power companies, general industry, and local government, and solve customer problems with regional solutions based on collaborative creation. Now, our second business, grid solutions business. We will become one of the top grid solutions companies in the world by proposing total solutions and expanding services business. Fiscal year 2018 is forecasted at 75 billion yen. In fiscal year 2021, we are targeting over 120 billion yen. And by so doing, we can join the top group in the world. Now, actual measures. First, provide solutions for achieving coexistence of decentralized systems with large-scale grids. Now we have large-scale grids and decentralized system. The flow of power is bidirectional. So for the grid stabilization and demand response and virtual power plant, VPP, these new needs are now emerging. By utilizing our core projects, in Asia, for example, we have ultra-high voltage switching stations and HVDC in Japan and Asia. We are reinforcing these systems and also utilizing IT and partnering to strengthen solution proposals. Now, and we will improve profitability by expanding services business. There are 2 points. One is improving maintenance coverage ratio for existing equipment, and the other is developing sophisticated, high added value services. Now, for the improvement of maintenance coverage ratio for existing equipment, we will take full advantage of the opportunity to provide maintenance service for a large amount of installed equipment, which we have not done enough of. And we will also strengthen maintenance platform in key regions. We will partner with local enterprises and conduct M&A. In developing sophisticated, high added value services, we will provide OPEX reducing services utilizing IoT and digital technologies such as remote monitoring and oil leak diagnosis, digital substations. And we will also promote total maintenance and maintenance of other companies' products. And third business, service business. Improve profitability through growth of high value-added services. On the left side, you can see our target business scale revenue. Renewable energy solution business and grid solution business have a portion of service business, so I excluded that part. Fiscal year 2018, 120 billion revenue. In fiscal 2021, we want to exceed 160 billion yen. And the key here is the high value added service business, increasing the ratio of high value added service. In fiscal year 2018, it is 25% of total. We want to raise this to 50% to increase the ratio of high value added services. Now, actual measures. Achieve growth through utilization of strong business base and core technologies. 3 key points. First, expand business based on collaborative creation by utilizing a wide range of channels. And strengthen core technologies and expand comprehensive services. In collaborative creation, we will shift focus away from maintenance service for own products in Japan and expand global service for other companies' products and profit share type services. And for strengthening of core technologies, we will further improve customer value by adding prognostic algorithms to predictive diagnosis. And for expansion of the comprehensive services, we will expand BPO, business process outsourcing type maintenance service through cooperation with group companies and acquire capability to maintain products of other companies through utilization of M&A. Now, this is my summary. Fiscal year 2021 target compared with fiscal year 2018. Fiscal year 2018 revenues 456 billion yen. Fiscal year 2021 target is 800 billion yen or above. And adjusted operating income ratio is 6.3% in fiscal 2018. We will aim for 10% or above. And by doing so, we will contribute to industrial development and the realization of a sustainable society by providing energy systems that do not produce CO2 emissions during power generation. So now, I would like to call upon Mr. Takehara, CEO of Nuclear Energy Business Unit. Yes, Takehara would like to talk about nuclear energy business. Yes, I'm CEO of Nuclear Energy Business Unit. My name is Takehara. So I would like to talk about the current status of the nuclear energy business. Now this shows the business strategy of nuclear energy business. Improve profitability, positioning domestic business as core business and overseas business as a growing business. So this has remained unchanged. For domestic business, we will promote early restart of BWR, and respond to new regulatory standards and decommissioning of Fukushima Daiichi. And for overseas business, we will make good progress with the Horizon project in UK and enhance business value and make final investment decision after applying project assessment in terms of economic rationality. Now this page shows the foundational domestic businesses. For the early restart of BWR, we will make steady progress with compliance with new regulatory requirements and also utilize the IoT platform to improve the plant operational efficiency. And for decommissioning business, we will support the electric power companies from examination planning stage And in fuel cycle business, we will provide customer support for early completion of the Rokkasho reprocessing plant and expand order received for fuel transport and storage casks, and decommissioning of Fukushima Daiichi nuclear power station. We will develop advanced technology. Now this table shows the overview of the Horizon project. Horizon Nuclear Power was established in 2009 by E.ON and RWE. In November 2012, we acquired for 89 billion yen. Currently, Horizon has first project in Wilva Newid in the Isle of Anglesey in Wales. And this is construction of 2 ABWRs, where they have track record in Japan. Now this is the negotiation with the UK government. On June 4th, Secretary Clark of State of Business, Energy and Industry Strategy made a ministerial statement at the Parliament, and the key points of the statement are listed here. I am pleased to confirm today that Hitachi and the UK government have decided to enter into negotiations in relation to the proposed Wilfa Newid project. This is an important next step for the project, although no decision has been taken yet to proceed with the project. Both the National Audit Office and PAC, Public Accounts Committee, have recommended that the government consider variations from the Hinkley Point C financing model in order to reduce costs to consumers. In line with the NAO and PAC's clear findings and recommendations for this project, the government will be considering direct investment alongside Hitachi, Japanese government agencies, and other parties. Now this page shows Hitachi's policy in response to the UK government's statement. Hitachi and the UK government signed a confidentiality agreement, and the detail will be discussed later. Details will be discussed in due course, but Hitachi has welcomed the statement from Secretary Clark. As President Higashihara mentioned this morning, Hitachi will make its final investment decision, FID, for Horizon project after applying project assessment in terms of economic rationality as a private company while keeping below judgment criteria with the same business policies. So the policy remains unchanged. Now, specifically, as you are listed here, financing model on the premise of making Horizon project off balance sheet, secure reasonable returns as private company, and investment amount will be decided with an acceptable range as a private company. Now, Secretary Clark's speech shows that through the discussion between Hitachi and the UK government, we are maintaining our stance. And our policy is that we want to maintain the healthiness as the private company, and they understand our stance. Now, lastly, this is the revenue trend by business unit. For fiscal year 2018, there is a transitional period of license and approval, so we have more softwares and less hardware. So revenue will decline slightly. And for fiscal year 2021, we will scrutinize the numbers again and aim for over 250 billion yen revenue. Breakdown is 200 billion yen in Japan and 50 billion yen overseas. This concludes my explanation. Thank you very much. So we would now like to take questions. The questions will be responded by Mr. Oda, Mr. Takehara, and CFO of Power and Energy Business Administration Division, Mr. Satoshi Sekigawa. Time is limited, but due to the proceedings, we would like to take the first half of the questions on the power and second half on nuclear energy business. Please state your name and affiliation before asking your question. Thank you very much for your understanding. So, for the power and energy business that Mr. Oda explained, any questions? So the corridor side, front row, please.
Question.
I have two questions. First, page 6. Fiscal year 2017 results, profit share type. What kind of profit share is this? If you could explain a little more and see how you envision this to grow going forward. Thank you. Answer. Thank you for the question. So this profit share type. The capacity utilization of the facilities. When customers' income increase, the part of the income will be returned. And there's a contract. If the result falls short of the plan, then there will be a penalty. So there will be both sides. In wind farm, the output, if there's a certain level of output a year, then we sign this kind of contract, and we are starting to see this type more. In wind power generation, is it a risk of the existence of the wind? It's the capacity utilization. So if the low wind continues for a long time, that doesn't count. And things like that are included in the contract. If there is wind and if the machine efficiency is higher or lower than the initial expectation, or if it was was effective as anticipated. Thank you. Question. Towards fiscal year 2021, you have a plan, an ambitious plan, and 250 billion yen increase in revenue. As I listen to you, wind power generation seems to be your focus. But generally speaking, wind power generation in Europe, the subsidy is declining, and the market is in the latter stage, seems like. And on the top 10, there are many Chinese players. So what is your target in making investment? If you have any ROIC or operating income ratio, and Taiwan deal, what is the level of profitability you are anticipating here? Answer. So this is the question on the wind power generation. It is true, the price is declining in the European market. On the other hand, the offshore wind power generation, Europe is filling up, but there are still white space around the world. In terms of market price, for areas that have plus alpha environment like typhoon, we need to keep our close eyes. In our downwind type wind generation, we have strong track record in Japan, so we think we can exert our strength. We are good at typhoon. And IT, by adding IT and IoT, we think we can secure a certain position. And from another perspective, you said that maybe the market is entering the latter stage. It's a high hurdle to catch up. And so we may consider M&A. In terms of technology and scale, there are markets that we cannot compete without M&A. And so we are currently looking at multiple candidates. And the target profitability in our power and energy business unit, we are aiming for double-digit profit. And so we have the same thinking for the wind power generation business. In fiscal year 2021, we need to have the business exceed 10%. Otherwise, overall 10%, overall double-digit will be difficult. Now, lastly, the Taiwan business, the status of the Taiwan business. Taiwan, this is the first machine. This is our first overseas market entry. And so we carefully studied the risks beforehand and in formulating the business plan, and this time we received the order. So first we will aim for profit. In the future, we want the same level, the double-digit profit. Otherwise, this will not be viable as a business. So as an internal effort, we will use the external consultants' expertise to reduce cost. The European big major companies will be benchmarked and see what level we need to challenge for in order to be competitive. We will dig deep and study hard and capture and grow this business. Thank you.
Any other questions related to power generation and energy? No further questions? Oh, there's a hand. Please go ahead. Question. I have 3 questions I would like to ask. My first question is as follows. You talked about offshore wind power generation, so my question may overlap with the earlier one, but this sort of came up all of a sudden. That's my impression. Since 2 to 3 years ago, wind power market has grown quite substantially. So I wonder why Hitachi has decided to expand this business, just to clarify. And the second question is as follows. I don't have a lot of expertise or knowledge on TV programs. Domestic wind power business has been lagging behind according to NHK. So partnering with domestic companies, having a Japanese consortium supported by the Japanese government, do you have any ideas as to such kinds of consortia or projects? Number 3, this may overlap with what I should be asking Mr. Takehara, but MHI, Hitachi, Toshiba, they are to combine their nuclear fuel business, and perhaps it could lead to consolidation or integration of nuclear reactor business. So would that be an approach, an integrated approach amongst different entities? Is that a possibility with respect to wind power or nuclear power? Thank you. Answer. To address your first point, that we all of a sudden have come up with the idea to expand wind power generation business, in particular offshore wind. Well, since several years ago, we have been looking to tackle offshore wind. And in Japan, there have been various demonstration projects led by METI's leadership. So leveraging such domestic projects, we wanted to rise to the challenge of entering overseas business. Off Fukushima, there's this demonstration project going on, capturing wind offshore. We believe that that could be our future business opportunity. With respect to offshore wind, therefore, we have spent several years contemplating that because of lack of track record, perhaps not much attention was paid to that in our business. Now, second, wind business is lagging behind. So why not put together a Japanese consortium, you've asked. Regarding the domestic business, well, we are seeing an increasing number of wind power units onshore. Who are going to take care of them? That's going to be one of the challenges to be tackled in the future. So we have to cooperate with each other to provide maintenance services. There must be business opportunities there. Well, some overseas major players have entered the Japanese market. So thorough maintenance service, that is what is called for, because that is not yet sufficiently provided from how we see it. So we would like to capture business opportunities in providing good maintenance. And if there's any room for cooperation or partnership, we would like to consider. Now, if we are to do business overseas, having a Japanese consortium is insufficient because when it comes to overseas majors, there's still a gap compared to them. So have a partnership with a mid-sized company or having a potential partnership with larger partners overseas, that should be kept in view. Now, number 3, point 3. integration of nuclear power. On that, Mr. Takehara will be responding to that. But similar integration and consolidation on the wind front, that was the question. I think I've given you an answer which would answer that question too. There are some peers in the industry who have set up businesses with overseas partners. So having offshore wind business integrated with other entities, that may be difficult. It may be difficult to compete on that idea. At any rate, I think we should study any possibility upfront. So we will take that under our consideration. On nuclear power, allow me to answer. Areva, Westinghouse, involving them, there has been consolidation in industry. The press reports we are aware of, but nothing has been decided at this moment. So Horizon that we explained about in our presentation and reactivation of BWR and Rokkasho plant. For these projects, we would like to continue to do what we can. Question. If consolidation is to happen domestically, are there any impediments impeding that? Well, you have partnerships with overseas partners. Beyond that, it may be difficult to have partnerships domestically. Answer. Well, other than what you have pointed to, there are a number of challenges that need to be resolved. And as I said, as of today, nothing has been decided yet as to the consolidation of wind power.
Okay, so next one will be the last question over here, please. Oh, so a question on nuclear energy business. Mr. Takehara, please prepare. So any questions on nuclear energy business? Yes, second from the front on the window side. Question. I have one question. So today, President Higashihara and this presentation talked about the economic rationality. So my question is, as private sector company, when you think of desirable return, as a nuclear power plant operator, as a power company's standpoint, and the plant provider standpoint, there are two separate standpoints. So the optimal profit is being considered separately, or combined or separate is fine. But when you think of risk, what is Hitachi's operating income rate? 10%. It seems like a low target. So is it different from this or in line with this? If you could elaborate, please. Answer. Your question may impact significantly on our future negotiations, so I would like to refrain from disclosing the figures. Now, Horizon is the power operator, and Hitachi EPC side is the product supplier. So we have both sides. So from both sides, we will examine this matter. Thank you.
Any other questions? Question about the UK nuclear power business. I have 3 points I would like to ask. You must retain confidentiality, so to the extent that you can answer. Question number 1, what was the result or the outcome of your negotiation with the UK government, once again? And second, by the end of next year, FID is to happen. Is it unchanged. I think that was what was clearly mentioned in last year's material. This time you did not say that clearly. So is there a possibility of delay in making FID? And number three, you talk about off-balancing the project. For Horizon project, do you have a plan? Well, you have to be profitable in order to invite private sector partners. What kind of efforts are you going to put in for that? Answer. So the outcome of our negotiation with the UK government, as you can see from the UK government statement, the Hinkley Point C financing model has been difficult to resolve some of the issues. But then this time, the UK government has taken a step forward, and they said that they're going to accommodate variations from the model, and direct investment is now being considered. So with respect to this nuclear power plant project, the UK government has shown a very strong commitment. And we're not just setting out the plan. We would like to generate power so that we can contribute to the UK government. So I think both sides share the same goal and proceed together. I think that was a major point. And of course, there are certain responsibilities attached. The UK government is accountable to the UK people. We're accountable to shareholders and employees. So we have to strike the right balance between the two as we coordinate our interests going forward. And to answer the second point with respect to FID, from our perspective, our plan remains unchanged, but unlike before, because the UK government is going to be involved, I think we need to hammer out more details on that. And off-balancing Horizon project, that is something that we need to discuss in detail with the UK government, as is in the material from our perspective, because we are a private sector business. As a private sector business, we need to retain soundness in our business. And that is what we have said in the negotiation this time. And of course, we will retain that stance and position as we negotiate with the UK government. Question with respect to FID, the UK government will be involved. But at this moment, FID is still scheduled for next year. Is that correct? Answer, we would like to make the decision at the earliest possible stage from our perspective. Does that suffice? Any further questions?
So center, second from the front, please. Question. I have two questions on the UK nuclear energy. So ABWR will be basically used. In line with UK regulation, what changed? So the core and the core catch, I don't know if will be used, but the main body and the building, will it need to be reinforced? What is different from Japan? And how much cost increase will this be? If cost is difficult, then maybe manpower. If you could give us some figures, please. And another question. As partner, Vector or JTC are raised. So Vector, after the earthquake, operated one in Tennessee. I think that was PWR. So in Japan, PWR, the new reactor with ABWR, it's Shimizu, or Kajima, or Super General Contractor has track records. The civil engineering is very important. So for UK, the Super General Contractors with track record, could you collaborate with them, possibly? Or you want it, but they don't, or they want it, or you don't, or... So the scheme of the construction, including the possibility of super general contractors, please. Answer. First point. When we do GDO, when we do GDA, the biggest difference with the prior license is after Fukushima, Post-Fukushima has to be included in Japanese government and UK government. For safety assessment, they are extremely stringent. A stringent safety assessment is required for each event. How much reactor core meltdown possibility, and so the standard differs from country to country, or the fall of the aircraft or filter vent. So we had this detailed examination in this GDA. So core melting countermeasure was also conducted. And the method and the details is different from country to country. In the US or in Finland, in other countries, other companies who did this before us faced a difficulty because they had to be new incorporating the Fukushima event. And fortunately, we came in after the requirement was fairly in place. But in other plants, they had to do this in parallel, and the requirement was more stringent than we anticipated. So in Hitachi, we passed the GDA. But the timing was fortunate for us because the requirement was well established by then. Now cost. EPC, the C, cost of C is high. So controlling the C is the key. The labor environment is a factor, so it depends how it will be forecasted. And the design of the building is changed, and their labor condition is different, labor environment is different, so we cannot have a direct comparison with Japan. And therefore, manpower, or I want to know how much effort, how much more effort you need. So manpower will not be that different, but it's how we make it and what effort we need and what procedures we have to take. This differs from country to country. Question. So including super general contractors, the partnering, what do you think about that? Answer. The companies that you mentioned, Shimizu, Kajima, among others, and electric power companies who have experience, they are becoming senior. But we are trying to solicit people, and we are actually having people come over and have their cooperation. But the way we do things in Japan and UK are different. And so we need to involve their consultants in this construction. So we will take steps carefully. Question. So Japan's experience and the localization, the combination of the two will be important? Answer. Yes, we communicate this to Vector and the other party and see if it's possible or not. We are not just applying our method because we cannot just use our method as is. Thank you.
Any other questions?
前から4列目の方、お願いします。
日経新聞の
Question. Regarding the Horizon project, I have two major points to ask. Earlier, you talked about economic rationality, economic rationale. As was asked earlier, the statement that came out of the UK government as the result of your negotiation with them, you were able to solicit a policy change on the part of the UK government. What is the significance of that? So direct investment as a possibility, variations to the financing model. Because of that, you have been able to secure a framework that would ensure a minimum level of profitability for you. Is that what happened? Am I correct? And as you try to seek economic rationality, specifically, what kind of conditions will have to be looked at as you make an assessment of economic rationality? Answer. So to the first point that you raised, as to the details, because of confidentiality agreement, I cannot share them with you. But basically, the strike plan is plan cost plus finance cost. And Hinkley financing model is not going to be workable, but it's going to be reviewed. And if direct investment is to be offered, when it comes to financing, UK has a lot of great professionals, and they are contemplating how to go about reducing financing costs. So once financing costs can be reduced, then the investment return and construction costs to be borne by Hitachi, they can be dealt with, and at the same time have a low strike price that the UK government is looking for. By developing such a framework, if both can be achieved, that could be a major win, a major outcome. And what are the conditions? Sorry for being qualitative, but as we described on our slides, from our perspective, we want sound management of our business, and to the extent that is ensured, we would like to pursue the activities. Question: as you hammer out the details, is there a possibility that you would be put in a situation where economic rationality for you is not going to be ensured? Answer: of course, the UK government has yet to make a final decision. We have yet to make a FID yet. There was a question about FID earlier. We would like to make a decision at the earliest possible stage ourselves. And we, of course, share the goal of setting up a plant in the UK, just like UK government. But it takes a huge investment. Negotiation is not going to be easy. And so we would like to look at the contract and study it thoroughly. Second question. So you're going to enter a formal negotiation. I would like to ask about the definition of final negotiation. When you say you're going to enter final negotiation, that means that negotiation leading up to this date was not official. So what does that signify, having a official negotiation with the UK government? Answer: as I touched upon earlier, we're having confidentiality agreement with the UK government so that the two parties will be able to engage in very frank and candid negotiations. There are so many points being raised, but toward having an agreement with each other, we will be hammering out the details with the UK government. That's the process. Question: so CA, you talked about, are you talking about signing an MOU? Answer: well, because of CA that we have, I cannot report to you the details. At the right timing in the future, with agreement from the UK government, we would like to share some more information down the road. Did that answer the question? Any other questions?
Center row, fourth from the front, please. Question. I have 3 questions. First, Hinkley Point C, the financial model change. What does this mean? From the response to the earlier question, it's not the strike price become lower than Hinkley Point. This is not a welcome move for Hitachi. So if you could elaborate on that point, please. What level, how many pounds will give you a go sign? And this, I think, is a 35-year fixed. In this kind of contract, will this still be political? And is there a possibility of change from political reasons? Second question, decommissioning cost. Which side will shoulder this, Horizon or not? And how will this work out? Will this be decided? So that's my second question. And third question, in the first Q&A, you talked about the target. You did not respond to the target profitability. So minimum 10% ROS. Do you think you can achieve ROS 10%? The first questioner said, probably mentioned this should be higher because the risk is high. So what is the level? And as an overall concern, the profitability and the risk is not well balanced. That is our biggest concern. I understand the necessity of maintaining this nuclear energy business, but because of this necessity, the numerical target can be ignored to a certain extent or not. Thank you. Answer. I am sorry, but the numbers and whether it's included or not cannot be explained because of the confidentiality agreement. Now, strike price. The plant cost and finance cost. Hinkley Point, EDF and CGA, it's France and China government are involved. And this was 100% invested by them. And the private sector companies cannot take this scheme, as you know. And that is why UK government is this involved this time. So the non-plant cost, the finance cost need to be devised. And as I said earlier, so that we can have the level Hitachi wants and what the UK nationals want. So we think that kind of strike price can be achieved. Question. So strike price will be low, to be acceptable enough to the UK citizens. But in the finance cost, the interest rate, and in the best case scenario, the interest rate can be 0. So in the non-strike price area, you have a good prospect. Answer. To repeat myself, the UK government wants to provide electricity at low cost. So that is how they will devise the finance model. So that is how my understanding.
My apologies, I cannot answer the third point either. It's time, so may we take the last question? Any last question?
前からツールが前から4列目の方。
すみません、日経新聞の指宿です。
Question. Thank you for the presentation. Just one brief question. Earlier, there was a question about the UK nuclear power project, and you said that you're going to prioritize your economic rationality as a private sector business, and you have answered to various questions raised. As you proceed with the project, I think you will be requiring support from others. So here's my simple question. If financing model is good enough for you to proceed, do you think that you will be able to convince other partners to be involved in the project? I don't think you can share the specifics, but if there are any conditions or points that you have in mind, answer. When you say partners, what do you mean? Well, investment into Horizon, I'm sure you are not going to be the only one who will be proceeding with the project. There must be other partners. Answer. I see. The change in the financing model, that is being looked at by the UK government. We gave our conditions, terms, and the UK government has taken them and are going to coordinate with various parties and modify the financing model. So we are making requests from our perspective to the UK government. That's what we are doing. Are we approaching others saying that this is the UK model and so forth? The UK government is to be directly involved in that. I think they need to be the one to coordinate and be involved in. With that, we would like to bring this session to a close. Thank you.
So with that, we will close Hitachi IR Day 2018. Thank you very much for taking time out of your busy schedule to attend.